All right. Welcome, everybody. I see some folks already in the chat, so we're going to say hello to you in just a minute here. But this is our third Beta Wave show. I've got Slack giving me some notifications. That's real nice. I had paused it. I'm just going to go ahead and quit out of that. And yeah, our third beta wave. This is where we dive into the latest features that are in the Photoshop beta so that you can let us know how we're doing, what we're doing, and if you're excited about the features or if there are issues with them or any ways that we can, excuse me, make these features even better for you as they go into the general release of Photoshop. Towards the end of the show, we'll possibly have a few minutes for questions for the team. So do let us know in the chat what you're curious about from the team itself, from the Photoshop team, and we'll either ask them during the demos today or towards the end of the show if we have some time for a Q&A section. So it's great to be here, and thanks to Adobe Live for having us. And it's great to see you, Daniel. I see you, and Hal. We said hello in the chat. Over on Behance, we've even got some Adobe employees. I see Jan. Great to have you here as well. And Robert uh, Keys, good to see you. Yes, this is going to be great. Let us know in chat where you're coming from, maybe how the weather is. I know right now I'm in Spokane. You might be able, yeah, you can see a little bit out my window of the office here. We're finally getting some beautiful weather. It's finally come in May and summer is just starting to peek its head. And so, last weekend I was able to get some gardening in and just soak up some of the vitamin D. Levon, good to see you. Yay, it's Levon as well. Saturn, thank you for being here. Anna, I think we've got a lot of folks here, and I'm excited that you're all here. Daria over on Behance. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. As you all know, this meeting is about the Photoshop beta that anyone with a Photoshop subscription is able to access. And some of you, of course, are well aware of that and have been using it. But for those that don't have the beta installed, we have a quick video that shows how to get the Photoshop beta so that you can test these features out today. Let's take a look at that video. All right, so to get the Photoshop beta, what you do is you open the Creative Cloud desktop app, which is what you see here. Click on the Apps tab on the left, and then down you'll see the Beta Apps section. You might have started on All Apps, and you click on Beta Apps on the left, and look for the Photoshop beta. Here you can, like these ones, have an install button. You can install the Photoshop beta. If there's a new version of the beta, and we release them every couple of weeks, you can find that in the Updates tab. Looks like I'm up to date, but there will be an update button next to the Photoshop beta, and you can get the latest version. So talk about where to give feedback in the Photoshop beta. If you bring up a browser, you can search for Photoshop beta in something like Google, and this second option, at least today, it shows the Adobe community. And so you can click the Photoshop beta, and that will bring you to our beta community where you can find all conversations, featured discussions. You can log bugs, you can request ideas, and so on. There are different topics that you can filter the community on or post to the community about. And the featured discussions is where most of the new feature content discussions tend to be, where we're looking for particular feedback, hover layer bounds, for instance, or multi-image content aware fill, or the adjustment presets. So you can give feedback in the community there. The other place to give feedback is right inside of Photoshop in the beta feedback panel. Okay, so some of you, we showed in that video a little bit of how to access the beta. Some of you might have the new interface of the Creative Cloud desktop, and so you may not see that that left rail where you would find beta apps, and it might be in the top. So if you need to, if you have that version of the interface, you can just scroll to the right on the top and find the beta apps. My computers haven't got that version. Otherwise, I would include that in the video as well. But click that right arrow, get to the beta apps, and you can install the beta just there. I'm seeing more and more folks in the chat. Uh, Glad you can hear me, PJZ. And there are several Adobe and employees and Photoshop team members here. So we've got Joel in the chat. We've got Corey over in the chat. Meredith on the YouTube side is Photoshop Pixie. I'm this radar guy. I'll say hello in chat. So I'm that radar guy, in case you were wondering. But Caro, it's great to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. And Uma Korn says it's pretty wet over there in the Netherlands. And I hope y'all dry up a bit and get some nice weather coming your way. If you do install the beta, some have wondered and almost even feared, can I have both the release version and the beta on my system? And absolutely you can. So if you want, you can use either or both. If you're on a Mac, one of the nice things about a Mac is that you can actually have both of them open at the same time. And so you could swap between the versions. On Windows, it just thinks I've got Photoshop open. So if you have beta open, it'll just open that one or keep that one open, pop it front, or if you've got the release one open. So you can only have one open at any given time on the Windows platform. And we do release often. We release about 2 times a week right now. And so each version will have new bug fixes or improvements to the features that are in the beta. Sometimes even brand new features, as you'll see some of today, we released some brand new features last month in April. And we're working on an ability to let you know what's exactly in each build, but that's not available just yet. So if you are curious what's in the builds, what new features are there to test, there are a couple places you can go to the community forums as shown in the video just a minute ago. And in the featured section of the forums, you can see posts from each of the PMs. For instance, from what you'll see today, we'll have Meredith and Audrey. There are posts from them talking about the new features that are available. So you can give your feedback there. There's also the beta feedback panel in the app that's under the window menu, and you can go to beta feedback panel. And right there, you'll see on the left rail of the beta feedback panel, you can rate features, see what they do, and let us know if it's ready to be released or not. And whether you say yes or no, you can tell us why you voted the way that you voted. So those are the good ways to find out what's in the beta so that you can get your hands on them and try them out. I did want to quickly mention, because it's been about a couple of months since we've done one of these, we did have Max London last month in April. And so if you want to see more than just what's new in Photoshop, like this meeting will show, and see what's in some of the other new and beta versions of Adobe apps or in the release versions, or even just watch some of the sessions, I'll put a link to Max London. I'll put that in the chat right now. I'll pop it in YouTube and then over in Behance as well. But check that out when you can. You can watch the keynote. There was a lot of cool information there and even some sneaks of some features that aren't even out yet. So be sure to check that out. Keys is asking, can we ask for features as well? Absolutely. This is your opportunity to interact directly with us. So you can let us know in chat what you're interested in or over on the forums, because the chat comes and goes a little bit. It's semi-fleeting, but over on the forums, you can definitely let us know exactly what you're after or ways that we can improve the features that are in the beta today. If you do watch the keynote, you'll see Anna McNaught talks about some of her adjustment presets that she wanted to share with everyone. And if you were watching our beta live meeting back in January, we talked about sharing adjustment presets with each other and did a demo of Scott Valentine's super cool black and white preset. I think it's Control Freak, it's called. And recently, we've been able to enable the forums to support the uploading of those adjustment preset files, their PSAP files. And so I'll pop another link in the chats. You're going to get a few links today, so get your copy and pastes and your notepads ready. But here's another link where you can go grab one Scott's adjustment preset, but also find your way to get Anna's adjustment presets. It is worth mentioning, though, there is a small bug with adjustment presets, and it does affect Scott's preset, where some blend modes are rendering some of the adjustment presets inoperable, but we know about it, we're working on it, and that'll be fixed soon. So in that forum thread there, please share any presets that you've created. If you're creating some cool looks or getting creative with sets of adjustment presets, that forum thread, that's exactly what it's for, is so that you can share those presets with others and we can be creative together. All right. We do have a lot of demos today, and the show will be very generative AI focused. So hopefully you've had a chance to try some of these things out, whether it's in the release version or the new stuff in the beta. And hopefully you're excited about this brave new creative world that we're in. And so we have some Photoshop team members, of course, in the chat. If you ask questions, some of them will be able to help out. But then we also have some product managers here with us today to show off some of the latest features in the Photoshop beta. And to kick things off, let's bring in Meredith Payne Stotzner, who's been hard at work making improvements to some of the Gen AI features in Photoshop, and show a bit about what they've been working on. So Meredith, welcome.
Hello, hello. Hey, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, and then also some names I don't recognize. My name is Meredith Payne Stotzner. I'm a longtime member of the Photoshop team and even longer Photoshop user, version 2.5, if we had a button for that. If we could go ahead and I'll show you my screen here, and we will jump right in because we have, I'm going to walk through a few of the beta features that we shipped on April 23rd. And since I mentioned that there are some new faces here, I'm going to kind of assume that you haven't tried some stuff. So be patient if I'm going over some stuff that you already know and that you're really aware of. So the first thing I want to talk about is the updates to Firefly Image Model 3 inside Photoshop. So this is a beta version of the image model inside Photoshop beta. And what it does is basically when you do use generative fill or generative expand and other Gen AI features, we're getting better, more realistic results. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what I mean. So I'm going to grab the rectangular marquee. I'm going to click generative fill. I'm going to click potted plant. Now, for those of you who haven't used generative fill in Photoshop, it's using the Firefly model, but it's a special secret sauce of the Firefly model. So instead of having to type in photorealistic, bring the light in from the right-hand side, it knows that that light is coming in from the right-hand side. It knows that the image is photorealistic. It knows that it's a high key image. So that's what it's giving you. And let me get over here so I can show you some of the differences between what is in the current shipping general release of Photoshop and what you can see in the beta. So over here on the left, we have some cardinals, and the cardinals in the Photoshop beta are clearly looking more realistic, a little bit more like cardinals. This image here has a few different generative objects in it. And you can see the top one is from the shipping version of Photoshop, which is using the Firefly 1 model. And down here on the bottom is the beta version of Photoshop with the beta version of the Firefly model, image model 3. And things like the moon, clearly the moon on the bottom right from Firefly model 3 is better. And things like patterns, like this was kind of a surprise for me personally, is if you're completing a pattern, you're using generative expand, the newer version is working better. And then also people. So I'm going to jump over for a moment to the shipping version of Photoshop. Remember how Pete said if you're on Mac, you can have both of them open at the same time. So that's what I've done. You can see I've got the shipping version of Photoshop open. I've got the same file, and I'm going to use Generative Expand. I know Generative Expand is one of our more one of the really popular ways to use the generative technology in Photoshop. Some people actually expand the image and then make the selection and use generative fill. But if you didn't know, Generative Expand lives right here inside the crop tool. And I've selected the crop tool. I'm setting the option to generative expand. You can also just grab it here from the contextual taskbar. But I'm going to pull this up. It's probably about, just so we can do an apples to apples comparison, about 27. Oh, okay. First time I've launched this, so I have to agree to the Adobe generative AI terms. Let me click agree. There we go. And I'm going to do this one more. I'm going to do this one more time because I feel like I wasn't on the right layer. I just want to make sure I'm on the right layer or it'll be really funky. Okay, let's try that again. All right, going up to about 2,700, and I'm going to type in bride with long brown hair. So this is what the Firefly Model 1 in Photoshop shipping version is doing. So we'll show you how that is, and then we'll jump over to the beta version and show you the improved model where we're getting some better people. Oh, yeah, that is not a happy looking bride, is it? No, no. So, all right, let's jump over to the current version, the current beta version. And I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see, make sure I'm on the correct layer. I've grabbed the crop tool. I'm extending up. Oops. Extending up to about 2,700. Close enough. And do generative expand. And let's say bride with long brown hair and fix my typo there. Nice that it gave me a little red notification there. All right, and we should get a better looking human there. And we're still working. There's still, it does better on single humans than groups of humans. It still needs a little work on hands and faces, but you can definitely see the improvement there. All righty. And let's see. Oh, I want to talk about a few other things. So I've got some notes here. And I wanted to mention, first off is, I know Pete mentioned this, but right here on these three little dots, the ellipses, you can rate these good, poor. If you liked it, please include the image with your feedback. We love it when you do that. And the report result is if there was something offensive or unsavory. And another thing I wanted to note is just that, oh shoot, here we go. I meant to do here. I know how to use my keyboard shortcuts there. Let's go back to, there we go. I wanted to mention that when I was talking to some of our customers at the most recent Max, a lot of people were confused about the commercially safe use of the generative AI in Photoshop. So here's just a statement. I pulled it right off of Adobe's public website, just letting you know that it's trained on ethically sourced content. And if you use generative AI within the guidelines, Adobe will back you up. But I did want to note that not in beta. So while you use the regular version of Photoshop, it's commercially safe. Adobe will back you up. But we ask that you don't use the beta for commercial work. Okay. And I think we have some polls. Can we go ahead and throw up a poll? I have the first poll. I am asking, I can't even remember what I asked.
Yeah, I do think it already was live in the middle of your demo there, and the question was, well, let me
Yeah, read it
get
out.
to it here. Will the improvements in this new Firefly model, will they benefit me? A bit of a true or false
Yeah, yeah.
question.
Thank you. Sorry, just draw a total blank when you're on camera. Yeah, so will these improvements to the Firefly model benefit you? And there's it's a true false. So true, false, or not applicable. If this is not something that, no matter if it worked 100% perfectly, it's just not part of your workflow. It gives you an option there. And also I wanted to note that we do have, Pete, can you throw up the beta forum post for this one? So we have a beta forum post, if you would rather give your feedback there.
You got it.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, moving on. So the next thing I want to talk about is reference image. So this is a new beta feature inside Photoshop Beta, obviously, because we are here on Beta Wave. I'm going to go ahead and jump in with a little demo here. So what it is when you're using Generative Fill or Generative Expand, you can tell Photoshop, I want you to make my generative fill like this. Picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you're struggling, like I am at this moment, to find the words, then let's see. Here, I'll just show you. I'll start with typing in dog. So I want a dog. I'm going to click and generate for a dog and give it a moment to give me a cute little dog. I've made my selection. I've clicked generative fill in the contextual taskbar. I typed in my dog prompt, and there okay, oh, he's so cute. I want that dog. I'll take that dog too. But actually what I really want is I want the Queen's dog. I want a corgi. So it's either you can find this little reference image button here in the contextual taskbar. It's also available in the properties panel. Since I already have a generation up, I'll go ahead and click that in the properties panel. And then this flyout menu comes up, the reference image flyout. And I'm going to choose an image and I'm going to say, give me this dog. I want a dog more like this corgi. And then as soon as you choose that image, that little flyout disappears. You can see that we get a little icon on that reference image button. It's that blue and white check mark to let you know that there's a reference image in play. And there's also a thumbnail of the reference image that's showing up in the properties panel. So now I'm going to click generate. Now that I've selected that reference image, clicking generate, and hopefully I will get a corgi. Now I want you guys to remember that this is still beta. We have a couple of known issues that I'll mention at the end. Okay, that's kind of a cute corgi. All right, we got twin corgis. I like that. And then here we're about to go into some territory where yesterday when I was demoing this, it was working really well. When I rehearsed the demo again more this morning, it was not going so well. So I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that the demo gods are on my side. So I want to change that reference image. I don't want a corgi anymore. I want like one of those little smush face dogs. I can't remember what it's called, which is why I can't even put it in the prompt. So I'm going back to the reference image button, and you can see that I have a reference image in play. I'm going to change it by choosing replace reference image. Also want you to note that if I want to go forward and not use a reference image at all anymore, I'll have to go in and delete the reference image. All right, so, and with this little delete button here. All right, so I'm going to click replace reference image. I'm going to find, let's see, this fluffy dog. I think I was having a little bit better luck with this Frenchie. Let's give it a try. Cross my fingers and hope my little Frenchie does well. I know you guys are all crossing your fingers and your toes with me, right? This is taking longer than I thought it would. So, all right, now I'm going to cross my arms too. Oh, okay. All right, so that's not a cute dog. We have some things to work on there. So this would be a perfect opportunity to go in and say that this is a poor generation and note that you used reference image and it did not work well. But we have some other instances where it does work really well. Let's see. I wanted to note if you go over, so Pete, if you could do me a favor and put in that the link to the public beta forum. It has a list of known issues on that forum. One of the things you'll note that my reference images that I've put in, they don't have a background on them. So currently, let's say if I grabbed a corgi with a background, um, that background is actually going to show through. So that's one of the things that we'd like to work on. And that beta forum post gives you some hints and tips and tricks of how to make this a little bit more successful. And these are just workarounds for the beta that we're not planning on always having to remove the background or some of the other things, or it does better if it's a square image for some reason. Again, just, some beta workarounds to make the beta work a little bit better for you. And then I believe we have a poll for this. We can pop up that poll if it hasn't been popped up there already.
Not just yet, but Wade, when you get a chance, I just want to shout out Wade. I appreciate you copying and pasting and repasting, reposting those threads that I'm sending because your links are hyperlinks. Mine are, that's just regular text. So that would make everyone need to copy and paste them. But the second poll that we'll be getting going just shortly here is I could see reference image helping me twice or more each month. True, false, or maybe I don't see myself using it.
Yeah, so there's should be I could see my reference image helping me with my workflow, helping me with how I use generative fill twice a month. Again, like Pete said, it's true, false, and I think there should also be an not applicable if this is not, Gen AI is not something you would ever use in your workflow, then feel free to click on that. All right. And then we are moving right along. Or do we still need to wait for that poll? Did the poll go up?
Um, Wade, let us know if you're having any issues with that one. It looks like there it is. Uh,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, while I load up this next section, this third and final section that I'm showing you before I hand it off to Audrey, I'll pause. I'll ramble for a moment so you can go find that answer for the poll. Okay. So the last thing that I'm showing you is enhanced detail. So this is not a generative AI feature. It actually works locally on your system, but because it actually works for generative fill and generative expand. So it works with the Gen AI features. And this is enhanced detail. And what it does is when you have a generative fill, sometimes the details aren't, it's a little fuzzy. And we'll talk about that more in just a second. And the enhanced details increases the detail and the sharpness. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to make a nice big fat selection. And you can see that I'm making it around, let's do around 3,000 pixels, a little over 3,000 pixels on the long edge. So I'm making it, that's a pretty significant size selection that I'm going to fill with generative fill. And if you look over here on the bottom left, you can see, hopefully it shows up on the screen there, that this image is about 6,000 by 4,000 pixels. So let me just go ahead and jump in and show you, because it's easier than finding words. So I'm going to do melted vanilla ice cream. And I'm going to click generate. And remember, this is a pretty big 3,300 by 2,000 something fill area. And this sidewalk, oh, that is not at all. Oh, you see what I did, you guys? I didn't have the right layer selected. Let's try that again. It was trying to match the colors from that layer below. So what did I say? I said melted vanilla ice cream and click generate.
And while that generates Meredith, we had a couple folks in chat. PJZ says he's going to use reference image daily, and Sports Pop says every single day in one way or another.
Excellent. We're looking forward to hearing your feedback on that. All right, so this is the closest thing I was looking for melted vanilla ice cream. And if we go here, you can kind of, I'm showing the selection just so you can clearly see where the edge is. All right, I'm going to zoom in to about, what is this, about 200%. and deselect. So you can kind of see where the generated area is, right? And where the very sharp detail of the original is. And that's what one of the pieces of feedback that we've heard from our users a lot is that that's happening. And I'm going to really quickly show you why. And I've already showed you guys dogs. Now I've shown you ice cream. All right, number 3 on my favorite things, we have tacos. So when you make a generative fill or generative expand or any call to the Firefly model for these features, you get back a 1024 by 1024, a 1K by 1K pixel block. And this taco here that I'm showing you is a 1K by 1K taco. And so what happens is when you have that fill area, which you saw was, about this big, uh, we have to just use some standard upresing technology to stretch that taco to fit the long edge of that fill area. And what we're doing with this enhanced detail is under the hood, we've got a super resolution GAN that's taking that 1K by 1K taco, or sorry, pixel block, and making it 3K by 3K. So you can see this is a 3K by 3K taco. So you can see how that's going to help increase some detail and sharpness because you have less stretching and expanding of that return from the enhanced detail. So let me show you enhanced detail actually at work and where it is. So over here in your properties panel, once you've got your generative fill returned, there's this little button here. And if I don't move, you should be able to see the tooltip pop up that says enhanced detail. And then I'm going to click on it. And we're going to let it do its magic. It's so nice. It gives us a little progress bar that tells us it's enhancing the detail. All right. So now I'm going to go zoom back in. All right. You can see already that's even at 100%. But if I go to, oh, there's a little pattern there. But all right. So there is before and shoot. Let me try that again. Let's see. I'm just having some struggles with my mouse there. You guys, I'm just totally messing this up. I'm going to go to the history panel because apparently I can't use undo, redo at the moment. It's a personal problem. There's nothing wrong with Photoshop. It's just your demoer there. Okay. All right. Let's see. Find the before and the after. All right. So here is before. And I'm going to go ahead and click Enhance Detail again. And there's the after. So before and after. Hopefully you can see the difference there. I'll zoom in just a little bit more and show you before and show you after. And then I'll even go, let's go over and look at the waffle on that waffle cone. And hopefully you can see the before and the after. So there's the before and there's the after. And so a couple caveats on this feature is, let's see if I can open up. I've got probably about 2 minutes left here to chat. I'm going to do another short little demo here with my tacos. I don't know where my tacos went. I'll have to import them in. Let's see, file, place embedded. Let's see. We'll just go ahead and show you the 3K taco. So what I wanted to show with this example is if you go in and you expand, this image here is 15,000, almost 16,000 pixels on the long end. So even with that, this is the 3K taco, this larger taco. And I did not mean to place embedded, but that's okay. You guys can, oh, totally. There we go. Come on. And I just froze. Okay, so well, that's the end of my demo. But what I was going to show you is you could see how if I stretched out that little 3K taco across that 15K, you can imagine how it would start to break down on the up-resing. And we have some polls for this feature.
Yeah, the third poll is live right now, asking about have you noticed those on variation controls as you mouse over the variations? Uh, is that something you've seen before? Did you catch them in your usage so far? So no or yes, I've noticed. I just haven't used them, or yeah, I've noticed
Yeah.
and I've used them.
And so what that so I've gone over to the shipping version of Photoshop. It doesn't show the enhanced detail button, but I am talking about in that poll when you go to the variations and you mouse over the variation, there's that ellipse that has the good, poor, and report, but also in the beta over on the left side, it's got the enhanced detail button. All right. And then are we ready? Do we need to give that a minute, or do you think we're ready for the second? I have three questions about the three poll questions for this enhanced detail.
Yeah, Wade, when you're ready, I think this one's got some votes, and we'll rapid fire these next three poll questions when you get the chance. Or maybe it's the next two.
The next two
Yeah,
poll
the next
questions.
two. That's right.
All right. Do we have the next poll question ready?
I think Wade's working on it. And thanks again, Wade.
So the next poll question, I'll go ahead and cue it up. It's have you tried enhanced detail and was it helpful? So when we get that poll question up, the question is, have you tried enhanced detail and was it helpful? And the answer there will be give you options like no, I have not tried it. And yes, I've tried it. It was not helpful. Yes, I've tried it and it was helpful. Do we have those polls up? I can't actually see what's happening.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Crossing fingers again.
That's right.
And then there'll be the third poll question is, would enhanced detail on every variation benefit your workflow? And what I mean by that is if we did it automatically, if you had some option that you wouldn't have to go in and individually click enhanced detail, that it would just automatically occur on all of your variations. Is that an option that would be helpful to you? And then while those polls are going, we probably want to go ahead and jump over to Audrey.
Sure
Uh,
thing.
yeah, sounds great.
All right, I'll get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Audrey Sousa. I'm another product manager on the Photoshop team, and I'm excited to show you some new Gen AI features that we have in beta. These are all using Image Model 3 as well. So I'm going to show a demo for three features: generate image, generate background, and generate similar. Let me see, is my screen showing right now? That's good. Yeah, go ahead and switch to my screen. Perfect. Thank you. So the first one I'm going to show is generate background, otherwise known as text to image. So this is really solving, the blank canvas problem, as we like to think of it. You open up a new document and you're like, I don't know where to start, or have an idea, but I don't really have an image to start with to go with that idea. So we've introduced generate image. There are three entry points to this. The one that is really easy to get to when you start a new document is right here. So, when you have a new document, you can either add your own image, or if you don't have one, you can generate an image. Now, certainly if you have an existing document, this contextual taskbar doesn't necessarily show up. And so we have two other entry points for easy access. One is right here in the toolbar. So if you do have a customized toolbar, it may not necessarily be there. So, please check your customized toolbar settings to add it back in if you'd like to access it from here. But if you don't want to do that, you can also access it from here in the edit menu, where you can click on edit generate image. So when you click on it, there you go. We have this huge new dialog with lots of controls for you to give input into what you want to generate. I'm going to walk through each of the different things here. So first and foremost is the text input, and just type away anything that you want. The more verbose you are, the more descriptive, the closer you will get to your desired output. But if you're not quite sure what you want to start with, you're like, I can't think of any words, which is often the case for me. We have this really beautiful prompt inspiration gallery. This is just a bunch of different prompts and just sample images of what they could potentially look like. And what I really love about this is I click on this and it doesn't actually kick off the generation. What it does is it pre-fills the text input and any sort of effects that may have been applied. You can see when I click through here how it changes. And what I love about that is, I can click on any of these, like here's the Shiba Inu. I might like this, but be like, oh, well, I actually like the pug that Meredith was using, and I can change it to a pug dog, or instead of a planet in the sky, I can say a sun in the sky. And suddenly my creative juices are flowing, and I'm really, making it my own and personalizing the prompt to be what I want it to be. So that's what prompt inspiration is. Next, you can choose your content type. Do you want it to be a more illustrative, artistic sort of output, or would you like it to be more photorealistic? So you can choose that, or you don't have to choose either and just surprise me and see what happens. We have reference image, and when you click on reference image here, similar to what Meredith was showing you with Gen Fill, we have reference image for generate image, but instead of influencing the object, this is actually influencing the style. I'm going to show you this a little bit more so I can illustrate what that means. But what it does is, instead of pulling in the content of the reference image, it's feeling the colors and the style of it to influence that output. And so here you can certainly choose your own image. You should pull something from your desktop. But again, if you don't have an image right at hand to really describe that style, we have this preset gallery so that you can choose from a bunch of different reference images and see what happens. And then lastly, we have style effects. If you really want to use words to describe what it is, but you can't quite come up with them, we have a ton of different really fun style effects here. You can see as we click around here, there are just so many that I don't even know what they mean. But what's fun with this is you can click on it, check it out, and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and do a demo here just to kick it all off. I'm going to, let me see here. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to create this bear sitting next to a campfire playing a guitar. And then I want to make it be more artistic because I'm creating an invitation for my daughter's Girl Scout camp. And I think it'd be really fun to show that. So this is like the idea I have, just to drum up that invitation and make it look more interesting. Similar to Generate Fill, you can see that you get the prompt tips and 3 variations. And so here's an example of 3 variations here. Now, the images for Generate Image are actually a little bit larger. They are 2K by 2K. And so really we can produce up to like a 4.2 megapixel image. And what we do is we actually size up to your canvas size. And so we kind of adjust it as needed. And certainly if you have like an odd size canvas, it will overlap, and then you can transform and make it be however you want it to be. But that's what the resolution of this is. And so similar to Gen Fill, once you generate, you can still access and continue to iterate through the properties panel and through the contextual taskbar. And we've added those controls that you saw in the original dialogue straight from here. So here I can click on style effects and content type, so I can continue iterating, or reference image. And then likewise down here, I can click on it here and here. And so just for fun, just to show you some of the style effects and how they can really, affect, the outcome here, I'm gonna go ahead and click on, let's say, material, and do origami, and then click generate. And so again, I could create another layer. I could click on the dialogue if I want to, or because I like my prompt and all I want to do is change the style effect, I can do it right from here. And again, you see the prompt tips here, and it's generating. And give this a little second here. So there you go. Here's an origami one. So that's really fun. And then I can go right back in here and, unselect this and try a different style, like let's say watercolor. and click generate. So you can see how this is just really fun to play around with and just, get closer and closer to, the output that I'm really looking for as I have all these controls at hand. And I cleared it, but I could have kept that origami and made it origami watercolor. You can really select as many as you want. And so there's a watercolor. And then now I want to show you how reference image works. I'm going to go ahead and clear the style effect just to make this all clean. And so again, I could choose my own image, but I don't really have a fun image on my machine to be able to use a reference image for. So I'm going to go through this gallery, and let's see here. Here's an interesting one. There's like this astronaut with like a neon sign in the back, and I'm going to generate. So here again, I'm not trying to change the bear. I still want a bear. I don't want an astronaut, but I like the style of this neon background, and I want to see how that might influence the look and feel of my bear. And there it is. So you can see it has that really cool neon effect, which I love. And let's do something really, really different. So again, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that reference image. I'm gonna pick something quite different from that first one. Yeah, I'll go with this kind of 2D vector woman here and generate that and see how different this is. You can see how fun this is. You can just like keep playing and playing to get the output that you might be interested in. There you go. So you can see we have really, and you can see it now we have this like almost gallery of really different options that you have for this bear. And another thing I want to call out is, I have a single image here, but notice this comes in as a layer. I mean, you could do multiple images, and there's a lot of really cool things that you can do here. I've already queued up some examples here, but here's like a ski run that I have, and I just had this idea of pulling in this river in the middle. But you can see I actually just threw it in. I just composited it. And if you see what I did is I actually generated an image, and I called it like a winding river in a snow valley. And then I just masked it out in order to envision, what I wanted to do here. And that's how I use generate image here. Another example is just creating a mood board, or, any sort of case where you might want to generate a bunch of images. Here, these are literally, I'm going to pull up my layers here. These are all a bunch of different generated images. And this is an example of someone who might be coming up with a mood board for their wedding, and they just want to generate some ideas. And it's just a great way to figure out what you want to do. So I do have a poll here, and I'd love to hear from you. Like, would you likely use this workflow to do that single image, multiple images in a single canvas, a generated composite? Or you're not going to use it, or feel free to write in any other, way that you might use this. But I'd love to hear how you might use this workflow. In the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to generate background while this poll is up. So I'm going to switch over to this tab. So this is just an example of generating a background. Many of you that have used Generate Fill, you probably did the selection, inverted it, and generated a background. And we realized that was a really popular workflow, and people, really enjoyed doing that. But that takes a little bit of, understanding how to do selections and inverting it. So we really wanted to streamline this experience. This isn't necessarily anything new as a capability, but we wanted to streamline this experience and bring it to the users that are already removing their backgrounds. Today, if you open up an image, you can, let me just click on here. This is already here right now in the production release where you can remove a background. But when you remove a background today, it just leaves it at that. There's not much you can do from there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this background. And we now have this new contextual taskbar to take the next step with what you might want to do with the background. Of course, we still have all the masking options that we had before. If you want to continue masking and do whatever you wanted to do for why you wanted to remove the background. But if you wanted to add a background, we actually have three options here. There is the color fill here. So it brings up the color wheel, and you can add in a color. You can import your own background if you have an image on your machine, or generate a background. So this is an example where I'm coming up with like a fun campaign for this perfume bottle. So I'm just going to type in pink water, and it generates this background for me. So this does something really similar to what GenFill did before, but using this streamlined experience to generate a background. And similar to GenFill, it really harmonizes it. So you can see how this doesn't just like sit there. It's really blended in. I already have this like preloaded on on another background, but I just want to show you how like you can combine all these capabilities to now, I use GenFill here to create something really, really fun. So you can, you don't need to think about these features as a standalone. It becomes really powerful when you start combining these workflows. So here's an example where I have this like spring campaign of this perfume bottle, but why not switch it to pink sand and make it be a summer one? And all I did again was change out that background to pink sand, or a winter one that involves snow. And so it's just really fun to quickly be able to come up with these ideas and see what they might look like. And so that's generate background. I do have another poll that I don't know if that's going to come up anytime soon, but I'll just speak about the generate background. I'd love to hear, what other capabilities you would love to see with generate background. The options I'm giving are controlling harmonization with the subject. I mean, I love how it harmonized, but sometimes you have a need to add a background and you don't want that harmonization at all. So do you want to have that capability to control that? The second is, well, we saw reference image. We saw it with generate image. We saw it with GenFill. Would you like to see it with generating a background? Third, suggested background. So maybe something like with prompt inspiration, maybe something with an autocomplete. Would you like to see suggested backgrounds? Like I did pink water, but would you like to see Photoshop suggest some backgrounds for a perfume bottle for you, or whatever background that you're trying to put in? Do you think that would be really helpful for you? And lastly, not needed. And of course, if there's other features for generate background you would love to see, I'd love to see you write that in the chat so that we can see what you think. Lastly, I'm going to wrap up really fast. I'm going to switch to my last demo, which is generate similar. So this applies, generate similar applies to everything: GenFill, Gen Expand, Gen Image, Gen Background, where you generated something. So here's an example where I have these tomatoes and I want to, let me see what happened to oh, here it is. So here are the variations. I have generated a bunch of tomatoes against this plate, but I really want to see more of this one single large tomato. Now I could change my prompt text if I wanted to, or I can use a reference image. But another really quick, easy way to do it, if you hover over, is you see a generate similar option. It's there as well as from here. And so you see when I click on generate similar, it's taking that one variation and basically using it as a reference to create more variations just like that. And that just gives you as a user more control over saying what you would like to see in your output. I know we're running tight on time, so I'm going to wrap up, but those are the three features that are in our beta, and we'd love to hear your feedback. And if Pete, you haven't done it already, we also have dedicated forum posts for each of these features. And again, if you have more thoughts on it or feature requests, please indicate in the forum post or in this chat. That's it. Back to you, Pete. Thank you.
Awesome. Well done, Audrey, the generative feature speed run. I'm just getting those last two threads into the chat now, and the final poll is live. So thank you, Meredith. Thank you, Audrey. That was a lot of beta features. We had the new Firefly model for GenFill, Generative Expand, Reference Image, Enhance Details, Generate Image, Generate Background, and Generate Similar. So lots for y'all to play with. And we even had more in the beta that we just couldn't get to for time today. So definitely look around the beta app, look at that beta feedback panel, and see what other features are available in the beta today. And I think we don't have much time for any questions. So thank you to the team who's been answering. John, I see you. I appreciate you. And Meredith, thank you. And it was a pleasure, everyone, having you here. And great to have Meredith and Audrey doing some demos. So everyone, thank you for taking some time out of your week to be with us here live. And for those watching offline, thanks for watching. Good to see you. And it's been good to spend some time with you. So that's all we have for today. And we will see you again soon. Thanks
all.
Bye now.